love this skill. Maybe I should use it in the introduction. "1964 was an unusual year in Godzilla history, because it was the only time in the franchise existence we had two movies in the same year. The first one, in April, was Mothra vs. Godzilla. The second one, released in December, was Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. This means they only had 8 months to make this movie. And boy oh boy, you can tell. The movie starts with police detective Shindo being assigned by his boss, played by Akihito Hirata, to bodyguard Princess Selina of Celgia, who is going undercover to Japan due to suspicions of a plot to assassinate her in her homeland. While in the plane, however, Princess Selina sees a weird light flashing outside of the window, telling her to jump off the plane. And so she does, moments before the vehicle explodes in midair thanks to a bomb planted in it. I consider this a mercy kill for everyone inside the plane. I mean, look at how they are dressed. Almost at the same time, a large meteorite crashes somewhere in Japan. A team of scientists decide to investigate the crash site, discovering the object to have weird magnetic properties. Somewhere else, TV reporter Naoko is assigned to cover the story of a so-called prophet in a public park. The prophet claims to be from Jupiter and tries to warn the people of Earth of an incoming disaster. But of course, that no one takes her very seriously. Oh, Japanese people, always confirming stereotypes. Once both Naoko and Shindo are back at home, we can see that they are brother and sister. While reading the newspaper, Shindo sees a picture of the so-called prophet and instantly recognizes her as being Princess Selina. But he's not the only one who recognizes her, and back at Selina's home in Celgia, her uncle sends his best assassin, Malmas, to finish the job of killing his niece. Back to Japan, Selina reappears on the crater of Mount Azu, warning everyone to stay away from it because down there Rodan is about to wake up. No one listens, and everyone is surprised when the damn thing actually wakes up and flies away. Just like Mothra, Rodan also first appeared in a movie of the same name directed by Ishiro Honda and released by Toho. In the movie, Rodan is supposedly killed after the volcano in which his nest is gets activated. Ghidorah picks up where this one left. Not that you need to have watched it in order to understand what's going on, but it would help. Why does it look like everyone's run is sped up? Next on Selina's list of prophecies is a warning for a ship not to set sail. Again, no one listens to her, and the ship sails anyway, only to get destroyed by Godzilla. Naoko, however, takes the confusion at the ship to take the prophet away into a hotel room where she could give an exclusive interview. But the two are interrupted by the fairies from Infant Island, who were in the country for a TV show, heard about the prophet and decided to see what the fuss is all about. Following the visit of the two fairies, Naoko is called by the hotel reception and has to leave the room. Downstairs, she meets her brother, who tries to explain that the prophet is actually the princess and demands to speak to her. Meanwhile, Malmas and his henchmen enter the princess' room and start to interrogate just to be sure that she is who they think she is. The interrogation is ended when the fairies turn off the lights right before Shindo enters the room. The bad guys and the good guys shoot each other, but Malmas and the others escape, leaving Selina behind. After this, Shindo decides to take her to a doctor to be examined. At the same time, Godzilla appears in the city, soon followed by Rodan. They don't fight, just stare at each other and that's it. The next day, Shindo and Naoko arrive with the princess at Dr. Tsukamoto's lab. Also, say hello to Takashi Shimura, in a completely unrelated role to his previous one. They start conducting experiments with Selina just to get to the conclusion that there is nothing physiologically wrong with her. The prophet then finally explains that she is the spirit of a dead inhabitant of Jupiter, who fled when her civilization was destroyed thousands of years ago by a monster called King Ghidorah. Now Ghidorah is heading to Earth, and if they don't do something, soon everyone is going to freaking die. Once again, Godzilla and Rodan appear next to the protagonist's location. They fight. A little. Did I say that King Ghidorah was coming? My mistake. He's already here. The magnetic meteorite explodes, giving birth to the creature. Chaos ensues as it flies across the country, destroying everything in its path. Seriously, why is everything speed up? Japan enters a state of emergency with the rampage of not one, not two, but 3 giant monsters. Desperate, they ask the fairies to summon Mothra to fight King Ghidorah. They say she can't do it alone, and their only hope is for the creature to convince Godzilla and Rodan to stop fighting each other and fight Ghidorah. It's a very small chance, but they have to take it, and the fairies call Mothra to help.
金星人って今どこに？
富士山麓の塚本研究所におります。
塚本研究所。
Yes, stupid! Tell where the target of an assassination plot is in live television. Back at the lab, Shindo and Dr. Tsukamoto try to, exorcise Selina. But their experiment is interrupted when the bad guys appear and start a shootout. When help arrives, Malmes and his henchmen escape through the window, again, leaving the path open for the heroes to carry Selina to a car and drive away from there. Not far from there, Rodan and Godzilla are still fighting. This is something I like to mention because these two have apparently been fighting for days now, and they've barely moved away from Mount Fuji. This is clearly one single fight that was cut to fill in between the gaps of scenes that take place during several days. It's jarring. It's probably the reason why the fight scene between these two looks so dull. They had to keep stretching it to fill into like 10 minutes of movie. Godzilla's ultimate weapon really is his tail. Anyway, the fight of the two blocks the road, making the protagonists get down from their car and try to continue their journey on foot. Godzilla and Rodan's heater contest is interrupted when Mothra arrives, spraying silk over them. Then, as the heroes watch, the larva and the other two start talking. The fairies translate the conversation and it goes as it follows. Mothra tells them to stop fighting each other and unite to defeat Ghidorah. They answer by saying this is none of their business. There is no reason to help humans because they only cause problems. Look who's talking. And then, like two children, Godzilla and Rodan say they both want an apology from each other, which none of them give, of course. Mothra then say that the Earth doesn't belong just to the humans, and it is their duty to defend it. But the two are not convinced, and Mothra decides to fight alone. I honestly don't know what is more bizarre, the content of this conversation or the fact that it took place at all. I mean, these three were actually talking to each other and reacting to the whole thing like people. I won't say this is one of the silliest moments in the franchise because I know better, but damn, it's close. Mothra tries to fight King Ghidorah alone. Of course that she gets her ass royally kicked, but after seeing the tiny thing being blown away by the space invader, Godzilla and Rodan decide to help. Now you have 3 characters, each of which had been previously introduced in a solo movie, teaming up to defeat a bigger threat. So this kinda makes them Suck on that, Disney. While this happens, the good guys realize the princess is gone and decide to go look for her. Shindo finds her in a canyon, being an excellent target for Malmas, who's just across said canyon with a rifle. He shoots her down, and the detective rushes to try to save Selena. Unfortunately, he soon runs out of bullets. I would be lost if not for one of Ghidorah's lightning hitting the rocks just above Malmas, starting a landslide that kills him. Yes, the characters in this movie apparently can't even solve their own problems. This sounds like a joke, but it's actually bothered me. Selena's shot into the head releases her from the alien's control and gives back her memory. How convenient. Back to the monsters. The trio of good guys fights Ghidorah in a stupidly silly confrontation that includes the alien shooting Godzilla in the crotch and in the butt, Mothra trying and failing to hold the monster's tail, and Rodan himself being pretty much useless for most of the fight. But in the end, it's the unbeatable power of the high ground that saves the day, as Mothra climbs on top of Rodan and starts shooting silk at Ghidorah from above. This move temporarily immobilizes the monster, allowing Godzilla to do some serious damage in the most ineffective way possible. But it still works, and Ghidorah flies away, defeated. Some time passes, and Princess Selena finally heads back to her country, but not before thanking her new friends for saving her life and looking after her this whole time. The same thing goes for the fairies and Mothra, who swim back home after saying goodbye to their new friends? Are they friends now? This movie is odd. The reason for it is mostly because it fails to achieve the balance between silliness and seriousness the previous two did. The plot takes itself pretty seriously for the most part, even considering that it amps up the absurdity quite a bit with alien ghosts and all. But the action is very silly, lacking any actual punch, while at the same time not being funny enough. I mean, it's certainly not a bad movie, but considering how good the previous and the following ones are, being okay is just not enough. But then again, just like all the other Godzilla flicks from the era, this one is essential for the franchise. It not only introduced one of the series' most beloved monsters, but it also started Godzilla turn into a heroic character, something that would define him for the next 20 years. Next time, the saga of the Godzilla Golden Age comes to its conclusion with Invasion of the Astro Monster.
I have lighting beams. We have a rock.